world smothered it, taught me to cover it up, eventually became ashamed to be naked.
So hi everybody, I'm Nadine Sable Sky, I'm the Naked Life Coach. This is Question Your Reality. It's a weekly web broadcast about life and anything to do with life. I normally pick a topic each week that interests me and I spout off about that for a few minutes and then we go to questions and answers, so it's a real live chat show. And so my topic this week is called Your Ride, and I call it that as you'll see for a reference that I make. But really it's about stereotypes and how we label things in our life and in our experience and how that might help or hurt us. Because a lot of times we do tend to label things. The most common label, of course, is just the label of good or bad, right? Like, I had a bad day today, or I had a great day today, or a good day. But we label all kinds of things in our experience. We label, first off, our experience itself. We label ourselves. We label other people, and we use stereotypes. Now, sometimes stereotypes can be helpful, but if they're unexamined, often they can hurt us as well. So I'm going to talk about that and what sparked this. Well, actually I was thinking of this topic earlier, but then what kind of brought it home to me this past week was a video that I saw online, which you guys might have seen, and I put the link to the video on my blog post if you look at it. Anyway, this woman, I don't know what was wrong with her, if she was drugged. I mean, it was like posted by WikiLeaks, and apparently I guess her neighbor said that she had done a hit of PCP and then a hit of crack and then possibly had a stroke. I'm not really sure, but she was just completely out of it. She was like, she couldn't even talk. She was grunting, and she had walked up some stairs, and then she fell down, and she was trying to stand up, and she was just like completely helpless in her own body. She couldn't even stand up. She was like rolling around on the ground trying to stand up for 4 minutes of this video. So I watched that, and you know, of course everybody's gonna have their own response. Mine was one of pity, you know, like it would suck to be, I guess, empathy, you know, it would suck to be so helpless in your own body. I mean, personally, I've done a few drugs in my time, I'm not gonna lie. I look at myself more of an experimenter though. I mean, nothing's stuck. Granted, I haven't tried the more supposedly addictive ones like heroin or crack or even cocaine. Mainly just like weed and shrooms, and I tried acid back when I was in my 20s. So I don't know, none of it stuck, and none of it made me really want to get more, if that makes sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think mushrooms are a very enjoyable experience, but I'm not out canvassing the neighborhood for them, you know? So I just saw this, you know, I saw this video and I was like, what is, you know, like what could drive somebody to that point? And then I thought, well, I'm labeling that point. I don't know what it is for her, you know, maybe she's having the time of her life, even though it doesn't look like it from the outside. I don't know. We all choose our own experience, which is one of the big things that I teach as the Naked Life Coach. And so I think it's a big thing to only judge our own experience, not that of others, because we're not them. We can't know what they're experiencing from the inside. And a lot of the ways that we do that, the ways that we judge, is by applying labels or stereotypes to things. So I'll give you a few examples. I'm naked, right? And a lot of the world would stereotype that in some sort of negative light. So we stereotype things, and you know, I get stereotyped for being naked. People judge, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. And when I say good or bad, it's the way that I want to be perceived, not necessarily an objective standpoint. So think about that when you're making judgments about other people or even about yourself, especially when you're doing it about yourself. I mean, if you're sitting there telling yourself you're bad, you're a bad person, or you're stupid, or I don't know, you know better than you what you're telling yourself in your head. But people do this to themselves all the time. They look in the mirror and they say, I'm too fat, or I'm too skinny, or I'm unhealthy, or they're just thinking about what they have to do for the day, and it's too much or too little, or it's boring or it's exciting. All of these things are labels. Whatever adjectives you're using for your life are labels. So what labels are you applying, and do they help you in your journey? Are they actually serving a good purpose in your life? Alright, so what questions do you guys have, or what you want to chime in on? What stereotypes you might be using? Give me some examples of some stereotypes that you guys have used lately about people or about yourself. And Prince Gucci, you said, is being on MFC all the time an issue? What do you mean by that? Oh, so you're basically saying that you're stupid for being on MFC all the time? Well, that's, again, you're applying that label to yourself. However, it's being on MFC is a choice. So basically you're saying that you made a stupid choice. However, that all depends on why you would think it's a stupid choice. If it's something that you ultimately don't want to do, then just don't do it, right? I mean, what drives you to make that choice? I don't label anything as good or bad. It's all choice. And that's everything, period. It's a choice. So if it's a choice that you want to continue making, then keep doing it. If it's something that you want to change, then stop doing it. It's pretty simple. So I do Naked Life Coaching, which is basically I help you transform your life in any way that you desire, anything that you want to change. And I do it naked, and you're naked. And we talk philosophy. We talk real tips and techniques that work. I've studied metaphysics and neuro-linguistic programming and philosophy and psychology, and yes, I get naked with my clients and they get naked with me. Well, technically it's clothing optional. It's up to each client as far as what their comfortability is, and I do have some clients that stay clothed, and when my client stays clothed, I stay clothed. So we're on a level playing field, whatever their choice is. And you can book a session with me through my website. So Narcotics said, yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes about naked people, rating women on breast size, shape, vagina shape, etc. And of course, vice versa. I'm sure a lot of guys get labeled based on their body shape or their penis size and stuff like that, or at least they worry about that. I don't know how much it actually happens versus how much people worry about it happening. One of the things that I was talking about on my blog post, one of my favorite comedians has a little thing that life is just a ride, and I really subscribe to that. I really subscribe to that concept. I mean, we are here for a limited time. Well, I don't know how long we have, but we're here. We came to this planet for a reason. I think the reason was just to experience life in all its aspects. So different people choose different types of experiences. So I think we all just come here to have, some kind of experience, and whatever we label that as, good, bad, ugly, pretty, beautiful, whatever we label that as is the experience we end up having. And so we can change that experience as well by changing the labels. I mean, just take one example. You could be homeless, okay? You could be homeless with living on the street with nothing but a bag of your personal belongings, you know, maybe a few changes of clothes, maybe a tent or something. And that could be a horrible experience, or it could be an exciting experience. You know, it's all about what you decide to label things as. So, what are you labeling your current experience as? You know, is it exciting? Is it boring? Is it interesting? And Prince Gucci, how do I feel about how the president is treated? Well, like I was saying, if life is just a ride, it's his ride. And so I think that we all attract our own experience. We attract the way others perceive us and the way that they treat us. So I would have to say that he chose to experience that reality. Reality is consensual, but if you want to get really deep about this, I think that everything is one energy, it's all connected, so therefore, whatever I choose, everybody else that's a part of this one energy, they are going to converge on that, whatever my experience I chose, and help co-create it. Again, it's all one energy, so there's no real separation between people. So whatever you decide to experience, and I'll give you an example and how I learned this. When I was like 13 years old, I was feeling really hot, really good, pretty, whatever, and I went to the mall, which, you know, where I grew up, the mall was the hangout place, and everybody, like all the guys in my peer group were hitting on me and giving me compliments, and then I happened to look in the mirror when I went to the bathroom, which I don't really look in the mirror that often, and I was not looking all that great that day. I was looking actually kind of bad. I mean, my hair was like all stringy, I was pasty faced, I had dark bags under my eyes, and yet all of these people were treating me as if I was super attractive. And I knew at that moment that came from inside, because I was feeling that and projecting that feeling, it was returning to me. So any experience that you want to have, you just need to figure out how to feel that way and start feeling that way, and it will return to you. Well, how much money do you need to live out your dreams, Prince Gucci? Sounds like something I could help you with Naked Life Coaching. Oh, actually, I found a really good resource about inventing stuff. I think it's in my recommended reading list on my website. Thank you, Yo Silver. Hi, Yo Silver. I gotta say that for you, right? Oh, thank you. What do you mean this site could do much better, Prince Gucci? Oh, you're gonna make your own webcam site? Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, you might not put them out of business, but you might capture a lot of their business. I think there's more than enough room in this world for anything, any business. Like, one doesn't have to go down for another one to rise, if that makes sense. Who exactly is the Naked Life Coach? I am the Naked Life Coach. What do you mean? I'm Nadine Sable Sky. I am an author of 3 books. So I have 2 of my books that I've published here today. I don't have the other one. I ran out. I gotta order more. Well, you're saying war will never happen? Well, see, that's a stereotype right there. Whatever you are saying about now or about the future, you're helping bring that into existence. A lot, oftentimes we think that we're just making an observation, but what we're really doing is pulling whatever it is closer to happening. So I challenge you to start saying it's going to get better, because then you'll be putting energy forth towards that outcome. And we want things to get better, right? Whatever we focus on, we create. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, whether we label that as good or bad. Yeah, I have my Amazon page. Hold on, I'll copy the link for you guys. I have it on my website. The Making of Weapons. Well, that's true. So, it's only a big market because people buy them, right? So, what do we need to do? Start buying other stuff. Start buying stuff that's used for peace. Start buying stuff that's used for pleasure instead of killing, right? I mean, everything's a choice. See, now that's a label right there. How do you know? How do you know that social media isn't the life of this world or the saving of this world? Faster communication means that the pace of change can be faster as well, right? My views on social media and stuff like this, like instant chat, I think it's just training wheels for the development of telepathy. Like, telepathy is totally possible. In fact, we probably have, when we're born, before we get trained out of it, we probably have a lot more telepathic powers. And I think that they are something that we can develop individually. But have you ever been chatting with somebody, whether it was text messaging or instant messaging or whatever, and you're typing out the answer to their question as they type out their question, or vice versa, you get an answer to your question before you even hit the send button when you're asking it? So I think it really is training wheels for telepathy, and eventually, man, somebody was telling me about, and I haven't verified this, I haven't looked it up online or whatever. Somebody was telling me about a cell phone company going to some island somewhere to set up a cell phone service, and the natives said, we don't need that, because they had actually developed their telepathy, so they didn't actually need phones to call each other and talk. So I don't know. I think that telepathy and developing other psi powers is totally possible, and I think that social media and stuff like that are kind of like training wheels to get our minds used to the idea that we can have instantaneous transmission of information. Wow, that's a thanks, Yo Silver. And Prince Gucci, that is really, you said everything good has a negative and the negative usually wins. Actually, that's kind of what I talked about on my second broadcast, the West of Eden, where I talked about the concept that, since we create our own reality, everything that we created was good until the knowledge, not evil, but the knowledge of evil came into this world, or was selected by us. And so since we have that knowledge, we can create good or evil with it. And so that idea that the negative usually wins, that's a horrible stereotype to hold. No offense, unless you enjoy that, the negative winning. What have my fame and fortune brought to me? Well, I am doing what I love to do, which is write and speak about the things that I think about. What all do you guys think about the potential of telepathy? Would you want to have telepathy? Or is it something that's kind of scary to you? Well, I don't mean like involuntary telepathy, like you're reading everybody's mind and everybody's reading your mind all the time. I mean more like voluntary telepathy, where if you want to say something to somebody, you say it mentally instead of having to open your mouth. And you could also like broadcast your thoughts to more people, like for an audience type of thing. So Prince Gucci said, have you ever thought about how the rich people and us donate to these charities and it's still people homeless and poor? Actually, I found out something. In the United States anyway, the rules as far as like what it takes to become a 501c3 a nonprofit organization. Did you know that you actually only have to use 10% of your charity of your donations that you intake towards the cause that you're actually supporting? So 90% of those donations don't have to be used towards the cause that they're working towards. They can go to salaries and, office locations and stuff like that. And as far as the government, yeah, I think that is sad that people get mad if the government helps the poor. Oh my gosh, Yo Silver, I so wish sometimes that I had a telepathic dictation machine, because it would make writing my books so much easier. I mean, I think probably 5 or 10 times faster than I can write everything down. So I'll start writing stuff and then I'll lose so much that could have gone into it because I can only focus on writing out whatever, so I make lots of little notes and stuff, but sometimes, man, I get such, like, just whole pages of stuff that I want to write down, but I can't write it fast enough to capture all of it. And yeah, Prince Gucci, if government people get mad if government people helps the poor, yeah, that's really sad. I saw some statistic recently, somewhat recently, that I think it was something like the amount that we've spent just in the last 10 years on war. I mean, last time I looked, I know it's higher than this now. Last time I looked, it was like over $700 trillion. And if that amount that we spent on these wars in the last 10 years was spent would actually cure poverty and hunger worldwide. Like worldwide, not just here in the United States, everywhere in the world, if we had spent that money. And then, some people say this is a fight for oil. I don't know if it is or not. It's pretty likely, but if so, I mean, we could have taken that money and used it to convert every single car in the United States to run on water. Literally, I mean, it's possible to build a car that runs on water that splits the hydrogen and oxygen out and just runs. So, yeah, it's really silly that we spend so much of our resources and time and energy creating strife rather than creating peace and prosperity for everybody. And then it is really strange, I think. Well, the United States is full of contradictions. I mean, as I've stated before, it's so strange that we can have, it's okay to see violence. It's okay to, we could see a gang shootout on the 6 o'clock news. We can literally see people killing people getting killed, and that's okay. But let a boob pop out and it's a scandal, right? It's this huge scandal for months, right? Because of nudity. Like, sexuality and nudity is bad and violence is okay. I don't get it. So yeah, all I have to say is, why is it that way, and why don't we all collectively make a choice to have things be a different way, to spend our money on peace and prosperity for everybody. 99% of the world doesn't have to be downtrodden in order for a few to enjoy life. I mean, I think the world would be much more enjoyable if everybody had prosperity, right? And yeah, we have, oh my God, don't even get me started on the energy thing. I mean, Tesla, over 100 years ago, Tesla invented basically a way to broadcast power, electricity. So you wouldn't even have to have wires in your house. You wouldn't have to have wires going from the power generating station through the air or through the earth to your house. Everything would just pick, I mean, think about how much resources would be saved if I didn't have to plug this in, if it could just like charge itself from the air. And that technology is possible. Hell, Tesla invented it over 100 years ago, but we're still running wires everywhere, It's all about profit rather than what's actually the best idea. So, in a way, I'm like a post-capitalist. I'm over it, okay? Yes, I do ask you guys to tip because I still have bills. I have to pay my rent. I have to pay for my cell phone, But I really, like, my ideal world, we would just eliminate money. Like, it's totally possible now to automate pretty much all the needs of life to where nobody has to work. I think people would still do things, we'd still do whatever our passions are, but imagine that if you didn't have to do any specific thing, if you didn't have to work in order to make money, in order to pay bills or buy stuff, if you could just live freely and everybody else could live freely. So yeah, I have a website on that concept. If you guys want to read it, I'll put the link in here real quick. Yeah, money's about to be gone. I agree with that. We need to step up and build these new systems so that it's not chaos, so that there's actually provisions in place to take care of people, rather than just having, like, I don't know, what's it going to be, 99% of the world homeless? So what else do you guys want to get me started on ranting about? I do kind of tend to go off a little bit on those subjects that I'm passionate about. There's one thing I've learned though, and that is as a coach. And actually, I guess I learned this even before I was a coach, but I've brought it, you can only help people in the way that you can only help people that want to be helped, number one. And second fact is, you can only help them in the way that they want to be helped. So somebody might come to you and say, I need help, I need somebody to babysit my kids. Alright? So you might say, well, I can't babysit. I have other obligations. I could pay a babysitter for you. That might be a help they would accept, but maybe not. Maybe, I know a lot of times people try to help other people based on what they think the help should be. But you really have to be aware of that you can only help people in the specific way that they want to be helped. So like drug addicts, people that are drug addicts, a lot of times other people want to help them quit drugs, but that may not be the help that they want. So you have to find out what help it is that they do want. Maybe they need a safe place to stay but they don't want to stop doing drugs. So then it becomes a judgment call on your own behalf of whether you would give somebody a place to stay without forcing them to do something that they don't want to do. Yeah, a lot of times our families try to like tell us how we should be doing things, and that's not always helpful. It's not always the help that we want to receive. We want to receive what we want to receive, not necessarily what other people want to give us. Yeah. So help them in the way that they want to be helped, not the way that you think you should help them or the way that you want to help them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with extending the offer of help the way that you want to, but if that's not what they want, then that's not what they want. It's not going to do any good. I'm going to wrap up the show for tonight, guys. Thank you for logging in and joining. This is Question Your Reality. I'm the Naked Life Coach. My website is www.thenakedlifecoach.com. Check out my books, check out my site, and I will be back with you guys next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Hope to see you there. Talk to you later.
'Cause I'm losing all doubt and fear when I'm with you.